All right, hello. So it looks like I have a lot going on today, but let me tell you how my brain works. Tomorrow night, I planned on having raw tacos, which sounds crazy. It's made with cauliflower rice and walnuts. That's what creates the taco meat. And I can't have corn, and so I was gonna put mine in romaine leaves. That's how I eat my tacos. But I just saw a video from Dr. Joel Fuhrman. I don't know if you've watched any of his videos or listened to any of his classes or anything. I think he is amazing, a wonderful nutritionist. Anyway, he posted a video of a wrap, and that just looked absolutely amazing. So I thought I'm gonna make a wrap and use my taco meat for that. So you can find my recipe in the videos below for the taco meat. I think I might even have two versions in there with some guacamole. Anyway, I can't have corn, so I need to create a wrap. And so it looks like I have a lot going on, but I really don't. It just looks like it. I am going to grind my flax seeds. If you don't buy ground flaxseed, I don't recommend it. I recommend that you buy it whole. You need to grind them. And so I'm going to grind mine in a coffee grinder today. So flax seeds have a wonderful oil that is wonderful for anti-inflammatory reactions in the body, for the brain, all sorts of different things. Flaxseed is wonderful, but flax is a very, very hard seed. You can get a couple of different colors. Mine are brown, but they're very hard. And so, seeds are created to pass through an animal into the ground to regrow another plant. Their goal is to reproduce. Our goal is to get the nutrition from there. And we could grind, but a lot of those are going to get stuck in our teeth and pass through whole. And so it's better to grind them. And in our cracker recipe, or our wrap recipe, which we're doing today, we want to grind it up to create a gel. So when people are not eating eggs, a lot of times they will use flax seeds to create their egg. In a normal recipe, if you're making something that calls for an egg, it's usually 1 tablespoon of ground flax to 2.5 tablespoons of water to create that egg. So I just put in a 1/2 cup of flax seeds that are whole, and I'm going to grind them up in my coffee grinder, which doesn't reach my plug, so I'm going to have to step off to plug it in and grind it. Okay, so I recommend that you buy whole flax seeds because once they are ground, that oil is very fragile and it can go rancid quite quickly. And so we want to make sure that it's as fresh as possible. So I even store the whole seeds in the freezer. Once it's ground, I definitely store it in the freezer if I'm not using it right away. So today, I have a 1/2 cup of flax seeds that are just ground. I have a 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds that are soaking in a 1/4 cup of water. I'm going to add the flax seeds to my sunflower seeds, if they'll all fit in the same bowl. You can tell I don't really plan my videos. I just get a whim. Oh, I want to cook this today. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to add another 1/2 cup of water to that to kind of create that flax egg. Maybe I should have picked a larger bowl, but we are going with it. All right. All right, so I have a total of 3/4 cup of water with 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds and 1/2 cup of flax seeds that I ground up. That's all that's in here right now. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to use my vegetables. So you can use really whatever vegetables you want. I like an onion and garlic just because I like that pungent flavor. I also like the nutrients that they provide. They are both high in sulfur, which is wonderful for the liver and for DNA repair, protecting our body against cancer. And I am going to be using carrots and celery, something that I usually have on hand. If you use a juicer and you juice these things, just save the pulp. A cup of pulp would be great in this recipe. What I'm going to do is I have my, I don't know what you call this one, the grater blade. I have this blade on my food processor. I could shred these on a shredder blade maybe. I could shred these with a standing grater or a handheld grater, and that would be fine too, but I didn't want to take too long. But the first thing I want to do is crush my garlic so that the allicin will form to help with the medicinal qualities of the onion. I talk about this in some of my other videos. I can't crush it. These are fat garlic cloves. All right, so while they are sitting, I'm going to put my celery. You can see it's kind of wimpy. This is the end of my celery, wimpy. The celery is very high in minerals, so it is wonderful for us. So I have my celery and carrots, which are high in beta carotene, which is good for your eyes. A lot of people say that the ends look like an eyeball. I don't know. What do you think about that? And so that's how you remember that it's for the eyes. I'll let you decide if it looks like an eyeball or not. All right, so I have those in here. I'm going to shred them up really quickly. All right, get that out of the way. Dump them in here. And I'll end up with about a cup of what would be pulp if you were using the pulp from your juicer. Okay, I'm trying to move stuff out of the way. I don't like the clutter. So I wanted to tell you that if you don't have flax seeds, you could use chia seeds instead. You could grind them if you want, but you don't have to. Or even psyllium husk. So I keep mine in the freezer, which is why I have it in this bag here. This is from Viva Naturals. This is psyllium husk powder. And so I would use, instead of a half a cup, I would only use a quarter cup of psyllium. But both of those are great at helping to create a dough. All right. So now I'm going to switch to my S-blade so that I can put a tomato in there. And you know what? I'm going to do my onion. That might make me cry, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's put the onion in there. Take these little pieces and run them back through. See my carrots and my celery. So if you've been following me, you know onions just make me cry. I just cut the ends off. I'm going to cut it in half just to pull that outer tough skin off of the onion, the papery layer. Set that in. And this is not a very big onion. If you don't want it to be as strong, then choose like a yellow onion or a Vidalia, a Texas sweet. I like the red onions, and I'm going to put these scraps back in there and see if they'll grind a little bit more too. There we go. And it looks like I'm going to have to rough chop some of those vegetables, which is perfectly fine. Put them in my bowl. Ooh, here come the waterworks. And now I'm going to throw in a tomato. Ooh. So if you don't want a tomato, I lost my S-blade. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's right in front of me. If you don't want a tomato, then just add a little bit more water. So I started with a full cup of water here. I have a quarter left. I'm going to wait until I mix everything together because it depends on how juicy the tomato is, how much water I want. I want it to be kind of a thick dough. And you could just chop your tomato. I shouldn't talk over this. You can just chop your tomato, but I want it pretty finely chopped. So that's why I just pulsed it in there a few times. You can see it's going to add some liquid as well. So if you use juicy vegetables, then adjust your water. It doesn't matter if you have too much water because we're putting it in the dehydrator. And so a lot of water is going to come out anyway. Okay, finished with the food processor. So you didn't need a food processor. You can just hand chop everything or shred it on a regular shredder, a grater. All right, and then my garlic. I'm just pulling the papers off. And I'm gonna grate it over these little vegetables that are left over. First thing I'm gonna do is cut off that little end piece off of the garlic, because that could get stuck in your teeth. That's not gonna taste very good. Okay, I'm almost finished chopping all of the garlic and those little vegetable bits that were left. I'm gonna throw them in, and I can add whatever seasoning I want. So flavor it however you want. I have this great, I forgot about this. This would be good if I wasn't using it for Mexican night, maybe. It might be good for either one. This is from Simply Organic Everything Blend Sesame Seeds. Delicious, very yummy. So that would be really great in a cracker or a wrap. But I want this to be for Mexican night. So I could add some Mexican spices, some cumin, some chili powder, some oregano or thyme. I could do that. But I'm gonna keep it pretty basic. All the flavor will be in my taco meat and in my guacamole. Okay, so I am going to add a teaspoon of salt. You can leave the salt out if you want. Remember, celery is a natural salt, and so that's going to add some saltiness, but I am going to add a teaspoon of salt. I'm going 4 pinches of red pepper flakes. I love red pepper flakes. It is wonderful for so many different things, mostly for inflammation in the body. And I'm going to be adding some dulse. This is some dulse granules that I buy in a shaker jar. You can get it at like Amazon. This one's Maine Coast. When you are buying sea vegetables, you want to make sure you buy from a reputable company, because you want to make sure they came from safe waters. And so this is one that I trust, but do your own due diligence to research your sea vegetables. So dulse is a seaweed that is very high in minerals, absorbable minerals that the body can use, and it is very high in iodine. It even says excellent source of iodine on the bottle. Iodine is necessary for the thyroid and other systems in the body, and your thyroid manages so many different things in the body, so we want to make sure we get iodine. So I'm just going to sprinkle some in there. I don't really want a seaweed flavor. And now I'm going to pour in. You can see how thick, look at how thick this got. Our flax sunflower seed mixture, very thick, very thick. All right, so I'm going to stir it up, and I want it to look like a batter. And then I'm going to spread it on dehydrator sheets. Something else you can add is like coconut aminos, or even wheat-free soy sauce. That'll give you some more salty flavor, some of that umami taste. Coconut aminos does add a little bit of sweetness. I don't think I want that in my cracker today. Or I keep calling it a cracker, my wrap. All right, so I'm just blending it, folding it through, because I want to make sure all the different textures and flavors are all throughout. And it looks like it's plenty wet enough, so I used 3/4 of a cup of water with the tomato. If you leave out a tomato or another juicy vegetable, then you may need to add a little bit more water so you get the right texture. Once again, it's okay to have a little too much water, but you want enough to hold it together. So I want you to see what this texture looks like. You can see here, it's just kind of holding together. I could add a little more flax or chia or hemp, but it doesn't look like I'm going to need it. And you can even make them without any flax, chia, or hemp. I just prefer it just to give it a little bit more of a chewiness. So I'm going to put about half of it on here on my dehydrator tray. So you can get these sheets probably from your dehydrator company, wherever you bought your dehydrator. You could use parchment paper, or this was even an off-brand that I ordered on Amazon that you can even cut to fit. If you do not have a dehydrator, then you can put this in your oven at its lowest setting, leaving the door ajar. I talk about that in some of my classes. So I'm going to be putting mine in my dehydrator. If you are thinking about investing in a dehydrator, I strongly recommend the 9 or 10 tray dehydrators if it's something that you're serious about getting into. Mine are almost always full. Like my dehydrator is running all of the time. Now, fortunately, I have a walk-in pantry, so I have plenty of room to put it. So that is something to consider. I have some friends that keep theirs in their laundry room. They have a counter in their laundry room that they can keep theirs on. So I want to spread it fairly thin because I want it to be a wrap. So let's see how thin we can get it without holes. If there's holes in there, then you're going to have holes in your wrap, because remember, it's going to dehydrate it. The liquid's going to come out. It's going to shrink. We just don't want it too thick. Some of my tomato chunks might be a little too big. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull that one out because it may just leave a hole in there. Okay, so here is our first one. Can you see it's pretty thin? It's about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. See what it looks like on top while it is still all wet. And I will do the other one. So excited. I'm gonna have like a burrito. All right, so I like to use the rubber spatula to kind of spread it out, but then I use the offset spatula just to make it even and thin. This is an offset spatula. It's not something you have to have. It just makes it much easier. So I used to be a cake decorator. I did a lot of cake decorating. I wasn't a professional cake decorator. I did a lot of cake decorating, and that's why I have this. These are pretty inexpensive though, easy to find. I lost a carrot, let's throw it back in there. All right, so you can see how healthy this wrap is going to be. Now, if I want it to be a cracker, then after it dehydrates for a while, then I can score it, use a pizza cutter or a even a dough scraper or something like that will help you shape it, or a knife. I just like a pizza cutter because I can do a kind of a straight line, easy just to roll right through. All right, so this made 2 wraps. It looks like I might have a hole there, so I'm just trying to close it in a little bit. All right, so here is our second one. You can see it looks the same. So I'm gonna put this in my dehydrator at 115 degrees, or your lowest setting if you don't have a temperature gauge on yours. I'm gonna leave it in there for 4 hours. After 4 hours, I'm going to see if I'm gonna lift up the paper and see if I can pull it away from the paper. If I can't, I'm gonna stick it back in for another couple hours until I can pull the paper off. Once I can pull, I keep calling it paper, it's not paper. Once I can pull this off, then I'm gonna flip it over so it will dry on the other side. And so I'll show you what it looks like in 4 hours and when I'm going to score it. Okay, it's been about 4 hours, and so it's time to look at our wrap. So here's what it looks like. It hasn't changed much. So what I'm going to do is lift up one corner and see. You can see I can start to peel it off. Some is still sticking to it, and so I want to leave it. I don't want to push my luck. What may happen is I may end up tearing a hole into it. So let's look at this one. This one looks a little bit thinner. And it looks like one side's thick and one side's thin. So this one's gonna be a little more challenging. Here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay another one on top. Flip it over. And then peel this off. There we go. And try not to tear a hole into my wrap. There we go. And so I can slide it off of this paper if I want to. Voila. And so here's the other side of our wrap. Let me see if I can do it for the other one. This one is sticky, so I don't want to reuse it. They're really easy to clean. And then I just stick them right back in the dehydrator. I wash it and then put it in the dehydrator to dry. So flip it over. Peel this side off. I don't want to rush it. There we go. And then see if it feels like it's gonna stick, then I'll just leave it on this for a little while longer. I don't want to mess it up. You can see it's pretty forgiving. There we go. Now I'm going to put that back in the dehydrator for about 4 or 5 hours and see how it looks. Now, if I wanted to make these into crackers, I would go ahead and cut them into the size of my crackers. Because I want this to be a wrap, I'm going to leave it in there longer. I don't want to cook it, or not cook it, I don't want to dehydrate it for too long because I don't want it to be crisp and brittle. I want it to still be a little flexible. So let me show you again in about 4 hours what it looks like. Okay, so I left my wraps in the dehydrator for 4 hours. You saw me peel the paper off and I put them in for another 4 hours. Then I decided I needed to do something else for dinner and I stuck them in the refrigerator. And so we'll see what happens. This is the next day. You can see they are pretty firm. I can definitely pick them up and roll them, but I'm kind of afraid to fold them too much. So what I'm going to do is cut them in half. Remember, I'm using them as tacos. It would have been better if I had scored them before they dried all the way. But I didn't think about, taco isn't really that huge, right? Okay, so here is my wrap. I feel much more comfortable folding that. And if I wanted to make it into like a sandwich, I could cut that in half and then I would have 2 slices of bread. Anyway, I'm using mine as a taco. So I'm using this is my everyday salad. You can see a video for that. I'm going to put my everyday salad on. Then this is my cauliflower walnut taco meat. There is a video for that as well. And I'm going to top it all with my guacamole. And there's a video for that as well too. Put that on top. There we go. Here is my taco. Right here. Let's see if I can fold it a little bit more. I really need it on a plate or over a plate. Here we go. It's going to be kind of hard to eat. We'll see how it goes. I just wanted to see that you can make a wrap. So here. Please let me know if you make a wrap. Let me know what vegetables you put in there, what nuts and seeds, and what you put inside. And I hope this video helps you with your health goals and meeting your food and nutrition needs. Please subscribe to my channel, like, and share my videos, and I'd love to hear from you. Enjoy!